I hope all is well. Got a mess on my shirt. Mess on my shirt. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Welcome in. Give y'all some time to come in and get my life together. If you haven't already, make sure to like the live. Welcome in whoever is in. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I appreciate you joining. I'm excited about tonight. I think we're going to be talking about something that is often ignored, I think, when it just comes to mental health. Something that we typically just kind of brush under the rug, and that's the topic of loneliness, healing from loneliness, and really just understanding what it is and how it shows up in our lives and what we can do about it. So I'm excited to talk through it. Thank you to everyone who voted on the topics from not this week, but the week before. This was the second most voted on all platforms. So this was something that was needed, obviously, especially as we're going into the holidays. I felt like this would be a great time to really talk about it too, because we have people who are grieving, who may not have a lot of family, that may be feeling isolated. They may be living in a different state or a different location from their family members or their support system. So I thought this would be a great time to talk through it. But yes, we're going to go ahead and dive in. I'm not going to labor the time, but if this is your first time, my name is Debbie. I'm a certified meditation coach. On this channel, we explore wellness through several different lenses, from meditations that I post on a weekly basis, practical coping skills through mindfulness specifically, just to kind of help your everyday life be more present and more meaningful. So if you haven't already, please make sure to like the live, tap the screen, subscribe if you haven't. Why not? Go ahead and subscribe and turn on the notifications bell to get notified about our lives. Okay, we're going to go ahead and remove some people. Okay, awesome. So tonight we're discussing healing from loneliness. Hello, is it Clipsy? Welcome in, welcome in. So there's going to be 5 different areas. Let me double check myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's going to be 5 different areas that hello, Hiru, welcome in everyone. There's going to be 5 different areas that we're going to discuss when talking about healing from loneliness. Let's start here. Drop in the chat a heart if loneliness has been a recent experience from you, of yours. Drop in the chat. Can't talk, y'all. Drop in the chat a heart if loneliness has been a recent experience. Drop it in the chart. Drop it in the chat. Messing up today. Drop it in the chat and make sure to like the live, y'all. And if so, just thinking about too, why? Where is it coming up? Is it feeling unseen? Is it feeling disconnected? Is it, feeling like a no sense of purpose? What is coming up for you? Thanks, stop motion noob. Thanks, Hiru, as always. Because sometimes we may confuse loneliness or confuse other feelings for loneliness. So like feeling unheard, feeling misunderstood, feeling disconnected, all of those feeling isolated, like all of those are linked to loneliness. Not a recent experience for you. Amazing, amazing. Okay, awesome. So the first thing I want us to understand when it comes to loneliness is that feeling lonely is a common human experience. It's something that we all experience and we're going to experience at some point in our lives. And sometimes the feeling of loneliness can feel very isolating, right? It can feel like, oh, I'm the only one experiencing this, when in actuality, every human is going to experience it at some point. Hello, Joe. Welcome in. Welcome in. So that's the first thing I want you to understand. Okay. So we can also dive into a little bit more of the definition of what loneliness is. So, loneliness is sadness or distress associated with disconnection or isolation, both internally or externally. Okay. Hi, Joe Bid. Welcome in. So I'll say that again: sadness or distress associated with disconnection, isolation, both internally or externally. Okay, it's a gap between the social connections you want and the ones you have. Okay, but it doesn't necessarily have to be just about your connections. It could be your connection with self, right? If you're feeling sense of unworthiness or senses of shame or senses of guilt, that at times can bring the emotion of loneliness because of the fact that you feel disconnected from self. Okay. So it's not just about, oh, I don't have friends. It's more so about, I feel disconnected from the people around me, and or I feel disconnected with myself, or all of the above. Okay, because you can be in a room of people, you can have a lot of people around you and still feel feelings of loneliness. Okay, so wanted to make sure I define that. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. The issue is not a lack of people, but a lack of deep, meaningful relationships where you feel truly valued and understood. Okay. Thank you, Connie. Thank you. Thank you. So when you're lacking meaningful relationships, you may have relationships, right? You may have acquaintances, or you may have people that you work with, your coworkers, your managers, and things of that matter. You may have these very surfacey relationships, but when you are lacking a deep, meaningful relationship, whether it be with others or with yourself, where you're feeling valued or you're feeling understood, then that's where loneliness can come into play, especially within yourself. If you're not valuing yourself, or if you're not valuing or feeling understood within yourself, that can also create some sense of loneliness. Okay. So if you can, drop I am valued in the chat, because I want you guys to know that you are valued, even if it doesn't feel like it, right? Even if it doesn't feel like within yourself you feel worth or a sense of self-worth, or from the people around you, you don't feel valued or understood. Thank you for subbing, Philip. Everyone, drop in the comments, I am valued. I am valued. I want you guys to remember that. And this is point number one. Feeling lonely is a common human experience. Okay. Let me see here. Hi, Roxy. Yes, he did. Absolutely. We sure do. We sure do have, hi, Javier. Hello, Jacqueline. Yes, we sure do have Jesus Christ. I'm a believer also. So absolutely, absolutely. Hi, Journey. Welcome in. Okay, so that was point number one. Feeling lonely is a common human experience. Okay. Point number two, notice where, when, and why you are most lonely. Okay. Notice where, when, and why you are most lonely. All right. And if it's persistent, right? So if it's something that's happening all of the time, over and over and over again, start to track it. Get a good understanding as to why you're feeling that way. Okay. So notice where, when, and why you are most lonely. All right. Think about a time you felt most lonely. Like if you're trying to pinpoint where it shows up, think about a time where you felt most lonely, and what was happening around you. What was happening around you? What was happening within you? What were some of the other emotions associated with it? Was it attached to a certain situation, Was it a breakup? Was it because of a specific person? Or was it something that you felt just within yourself? So like really think about how that shows up for you. Even if you're not experiencing loneliness now, having a good understanding of how it shows up for you will be important or helpful for when it does show up. So that way you can name it and you can do something about it. Ultimately, when it comes to our emotions and just how they show up within our bodies or within our mind or just in life in general, they linger a little bit longer because we have a hard time even noticing what's happening. So when you have a good idea as to how certain emotions show up in your body, how they show up in your mind, and how they show up in your life, then when they do pop up, you have a little bit more leverage to do something about it quickly, okay? So that was number 2. Notice where, when, and why you are most lonely. Okay. So when it comes to, hi, King Bob, hi, Daniel, what we're doing is we're talking about, this is our weekly live. This is where we talk about different topics regarding mental health. Today, we're talking about healing from loneliness. So point number 2 was notice where, when, and why you are most lonely. Welcome in, Dominic. Thank you so much for joining. Yes, notice where, when, and why you are most lonely. I asked the questions, think about a time you felt most lonely. What was happening around you? Was it a moment of change, a loss, or a season where you felt unseen? Okay. When you're thinking about when, think about what situations are happening within your life during that time that is triggering that feeling of loneliness, right? So are you outgrowing your current circle? Have they outgrown you, right? Or are you just kind of going in different directions and the directions don't even match up, right? Let me make sure I also, just a second, y'all. Okay. I think we're good. God, I had to go on a blocking spree. Hello, Reginald. Hello, Lix. Okay, so that was when outgrown your current circle or they've outgrown you. If you've always been considered the strong one, this pops up for a lot of people who are always the go-to person for when everyone else is in disarray. And you're always the one that's considered to be the strong friend or the one that always has things together, right? And many times that's isolating. Many times that is something that you can easily feel disconnected from the people around you simply because people are relying on you for something, especially for people who are caregivers, for people who are parents, or for people who just seems to be even like siblings or just family members where you're the go-to person or you may be the oldest sibling. There's so many different reasons as to why you may feel that way, but the person is considered always the strong one can feel isolated at times. When relationships are ending, during transition or grief when someone has passed away, or even just grief in general, just grieving a situation or a person that's still here, you just grieving the relationship. When in comparison, this is a big one. You can definitely find yourself in feelings of loneliness or isolation when you find yourself in comparison, whether it be within yourself and you're comparing yourself to others, or you're just in situations where you have to compare yourself to others, whether it be, you're in a profession that comparison is a big aspect, or you just are in social media a lot. There's so many different ways where comparison can pop up, but it's isolating and it can make you feel very different feelings about yourself, whether it be low self-esteem, self-worth, which is also isolating, feelings of depression, feelings of just extreme sadness can be isolating in itself, anxiety, compulsive feelings and thoughts. All of those things are pretty isolating. When life is too quiet, when you have lived a life a certain way and you begin to go on the process of healing, that in itself, your growth, you getting better, you progressing, or even success or finding success can be isolating because of the fact that you have seen yourself one way and you've worked towards this new thing actually happens, and now the people that were around you before are no longer attached to you because of your growth, and now you find yourself alone because of that growth. That can be isolating as well. So there's so many different reasons as to why or where it shows up, but those are a few things that I came up with. A few other areas of why: doubting your worth. We talked about that. Feeling disconnected from self and others, disconnected to your purpose, or feeling disconnected to purpose or meaning, stuck in overthinking and anxiety. Yeah, those were all the listings there. Slowly getting into all of that. Okay. Hello, Earth. Hello, Alexis. Slowly getting into all of that as far as like what? Because I went through a lot. What are you slowly find yourself getting into? Was it just feelings of sadness or feeling depression or just the feeling of loneliness? I listed a few things. As we're waiting for that, there was only one other area I think I had here. I talked about tracking, so making sure to track if you're feeling consistent or persistent feelings of loneliness. Noticing where it shows up in the body. Loneliness and sadness in itself shows up in the body in many different ways, and it often will show up in the body before it shows up in your mind or in your brain for you to actually realize what's happening. So it can show up in the body, whether it be just extreme feelings of fatigue or just really tired, not being rested after sleeping. You've slept all night and then you wake up and you're still tired. If you are having any aches or pains, if you're having digestion issues, any feelings of anxiety or anything like that, all of that would pop up in the body beforehand. So noticing what happens in the body is definitely helpful. Just a second here. Impressions as far as like comparison. I'll make sure I'm getting your question right. Yeah. So making sure that you notice it in the body. Okay. So when it comes to comparison, I think it goes back to understanding, because for me, comparison is something that I struggled with early on as well. But when it comes to comparison, I had to realize that the only competition I have is the previous version of myself. So if I have an area that I'm looking to grow in, one, I want to understand my reasoning why. Is it something that I want, or is it something that I've seen that now all of a sudden I want, right? So my biggest competition is within myself. That's the first thing you want to remember. The second thing is, when it comes to comparison, you have to look at the full picture. When you're seeing people on social media, that's only one version of themselves, and it's usually their best version, okay? So that's the first thing to remember. The second thing to remember is that you don't know or understand what they needed to do to get there, right? So I think I've talked about this before, but we're all in this journey of life. We all have this own story, or this story of this book of a story, right? That we have this narrative that we're trying to progress in when it comes to life, right? And so you may be looking at someone's chapter 25 when you're on chapter 15, right? And so because we're trying to compare chapters, it's no comparison, because we don't know what that person had to do to get there. We also don't know if what that person is showcasing is false or not, right? So we don't know if that's half of the story or a portion of the story, right? We don't know the pace. So comparison, even though it's easy to fall into, it's about bringing things back into perspective, right? We don't know what this person had to do to get there. We don't know if they had to be dishonest. We don't know if they had to lie, cheat, steal, kill to get to that space, right? And we don't know what part of their story they're in. They could be in chapter 25 and I'm in chapter 10. Their book could be, some form of one genre. It could be a poetry book, and your book can be, nonfiction. It's no comparison because the stories and the journey is different. Right. So it's all about perspective. It's all about reminding yourself of your journey and reminding yourself of your process and progress. And I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, let me know. But comparison is definitely difficult to fall into, or to pull yourself out of. And so, but easy to fall into. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Um, Alexis, thank you, Dragon. Uh, okay, what exactly? I feel like I have horrible mindfulness. My husband had a massive stroke last year, 5 days after our baby was born. I don't know how to get back to me. I'm so sorry, Alexis, that happened. Yeah, so what we're talking about here, the topic is healing from loneliness. That's the main topic. When it comes to your situation, you're having a hard time getting back to you. I would definitely suggest, there's a few things that I would suggest. One would be taking the time for some reflection, taking some time for yourself to doing what you can, right? And if it's, as a mom, I can understand. I'm a mom of two. So I know that there's some days or a lot of days or every day that is really difficult to even get time away. Sometimes you have to even find micro time, right? Whether it be 10 minutes, 5 minutes before the baby wakes up, whatever, where you're able to do some sort of self-reflection, okay? For reflecting on where you are now, where you want to be, how you're feeling now, and how you want to feel, right? You can do that in small portions. So if you want to do one question, one day, and then the next day you take a couple of minutes and do the next question, however you want to do that. I also would suggest therapy, even if it's a matter of just finding purpose, finding yourself again, finding meaning. Going to therapy is a form of self-care, to where you're able to really reflect and do some type of reflection, especially if you don't think that you have the language to even understand what you need and what you want out of life, right? With your husband having a stroke, I'm sure that you're some form of caregiver. Has he fully recovered, or are you more of a caregiver at this point? Um, Thank you, Jocelyn. Welcome in. Hi, Gabriel. Welcome in. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything here. Alexis, let me know. For no sense of purpose. Thank you, Gloria, for your question. Thank you. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. Let me go back to Alexis really quick. Hold on. Oh, I see. You being military. So you're a caregiver. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay. Okay, so yeah, Alexis, I completely understand. I'm gonna come back to you, Gloria. Alexis, I completely understand when it comes to the stigma, right, of therapy. Me being a mindfulness coach or certified mindfulness coach, just so you know, I am also in my master's program to be a counselor, to be a therapist. So I'm actually in internship right now, almost finished with my program. So I can understand as far as like the stigma of therapy. Just understand, when thinking about therapy, think about it as far as it being a doctor or a professional for your mind, because you don't question if you break your arm, you don't question going to the doctor to get it fixed or to get a cast, right? It's the same with your mind. And really, the best individuals for therapy are people who need help bringing meaning and purpose to their life, right? And it's not even about saying you need to be in therapy for a long period of time. You can even do a couple of sessions just to try to get things back to normal, right? And then find yourself in a state of, I can do this reflection and things on my own. Okay, so think about therapy as a doctor, or a therapist as a doctor for your mind. And your mind is just as important as your physical body. So just like you will run to the doctor to get your body checked, you have to run to the doctor to get your mind checked. You experience something that is difficult and, may I say, traumatic, and my kudos to you in caregiving for your husband. And thank you so much for service and being in the military. Veterans Day is tomorrow, right? Yeah. So kudos to you in getting yourself this far. But don't feel bad or shame or guilt about needing a professional to help you through where you are now. You got yourself to where you are. It's just a matter of finding ways to grow and be a better version of yourself, which it sounds like you want to be. So by any means, if you have any other questions, let me know. But I want you to at least reflect on that, right? And even if it's just a matter of going to one session, just to seeing if you like it and then making a decision from there. Back to Gloria. I hope that answers your question, Alexis. But what do you think is the best way to combat loneliness due to no sense of purpose? Okay. So when it comes to sense of purpose, I think it first goes back to spirituality and understanding what you mean, what's the right word to say? What you desire or want in that aspect. Because for me to find purpose, I seek God, right? I'm a Christian, I believe in Jesus Christ, so that's who I seek for purpose. If that's not what you believe, or if you believe in something else, I always suggest going back to that higher source and finding a sense of purpose there. For those who don't believe in that and just want to have something to go off of, you want to get back to your values, right? And I've talked about values work multiple times. I think I have a few videos on values. You want to get a good understanding of what you value and what is most important to you. Because many times when it comes to purpose and meaning, it's because there's a disconnection between your values or what you value and your actions, behaviors, and lifestyle, right? For example, say if you value honesty, but you have a career in if you're a lawyer, right, where you may have to lie or you may have to fib here and there, right? So if you personally have a core belief of honesty, but then you are in a profession that does the opposite, then there's an internal conflict that creates and makes it difficult for you to create some sense of purpose or meaning, right? So it goes back to values. So one, spirituality. If you believe in a higher source, tap into that. If you don't, and even if you do believe in that higher source, you can do values work, right? So finding and listing your values. I typically do 6 values, right? So my values, I have them actually here. My 6 values are love, stewardship, authenticity, flexibility, acceptance, and honesty, right? So those are the things that I most value within my life. So then from there, what purpose can I pull from that? How can I determine what my purpose is based off of the values that I listed? So it's some deep work. It's not something that you're going to be able to answer tomorrow or by the end of the week. It's going to take a deep amount of reflection, understanding, and then also a matter of linking to what your talents are, what your gifts are, what come easy to you, right? What is, like, even based off of your current career, like, is that something you even want to do? Is it something that gets fulfilling and gives you some form of solace, right? Even just for me, like I said, I went into counseling and started my program last year. Before that, I worked in recruiting. Had like 8 years of recruiting experience, and it's something that I enjoyed. It was okay, right? But it didn't have any purpose attached to it. It was something I was good at, but not necessarily something that I found purpose in. So it's a definitely a difficult road to go down, but it's a meaningful one, because once you're able to really go through that process and reflect on what you want and what you need, then you'll be able to make decisions better. You'll be able to surround yourself that reflect those values. You'll be able to, determine your direction and your goals and things of that matter. It will all link back to what you value and your core beliefs. Just a second here. I hope that answered your question. Make sure I'm not missing anybody. That was Gloria. Okay. You're struggling with SH. I don't know what SH is. Yes, Ben, Jesus is Lord. I got you. Thank you, Connie. Yeah, if you're Alexis, your base most definitely probably has some mental health resources. Check it out. It doesn't hurt to try. Oh, of course, I get it. Yes, definitely smart to start with one session. Usually it's going to be an intake. Usually they're going to do an intake session just to get to know you and understand you better. And then from there, they will give you like a treatment plan, so that way you have an understanding of what that would look like. You can treat a therapist like you would treat any other doctor. You can always get a second opinion. If you don't vibe with the doctor like that, or with the therapist like that, you can always switch and change to a different therapist. You have to date your therapist a little bit, just to see if it's something if it's someone that you are, that you can have some form of connection with, that you feel safe with, that you feel that will be able to provide you with the advice that you want. And you can also pick based off of, you're looking for only women therapists, if you're looking for a certain race of therapists, there's so many different variations. If you're looking for a Christian therapist, or someone that's primarily in Islam, whatever makes the most sense for you, you can search that way. Okay, let me make sure I'm not, okay. Yeah, Gloria, it's something that you can definitely take your time in. You're not going to know the answer right away. But if it's something that you pace yourself in, you'll definitely find the answers that you're looking for. You're welcome, Gloria. Hold on, gotta do some blocking here. Squid Launcher, how do you move on when somebody doesn't share the same feelings with you? What do you mean, how do you move on? Is it just a matter of a friend, or a romantic relationship? And hold on, just gotta block some more people. Thank you, Cruz. Oh, hold on. I mean, ultimately, you would talk to her. Does she know that you like her? Just a second here, y'all. Um, I mean, if she is cheating, that's not necessarily something that you would want to um be a part of, right? Just a second, y'all, because okay. Um, Let me make sure I'm gonna put make sure I'm not missing anything. Sorry, y'all. I'm like delaying the time. Okay, so I don't know where the other comment went, but if somebody's cheating on you, it's feelings or emotions are fleeting, y'all. Go off of the people's behaviors. Believe what people tell you through their actions and their behaviors. So if someone's cheating, I can't find the comment, so I can't go back to it. But someone's cheating, regardless of how you may feel about them, that's a that's a conversation that you need to have with them about how you're feeling. But and I would never tell anybody, if it was like a marriage or anything, I would tell anybody to divorce. But if this is just boyfriend girlfriend stuff, you ain't got time for that. Um all right, so let me get back to where we were, y'all. Um which I need to find where that is. Where were we talking about? So we were on number 2. So first, number 1 was feeling lonely is a common human experience. Number 2 was notice where, when, and why you are most lonely. Number 3, notice your need when you are feeling lonely. Typically, if you're feeling feelings of loneliness, there is a need somewhere, okay? So loneliness isn't necessarily a sign that something's wrong with you. It's a signal that something in you needs care, needs attention, and needs some form of connection, okay? So many times when we feel feelings of loneliness, we feel like there's some levels of shame and guilt, or there's some levels of something's wrong with me, right? And that's not necessarily the case. Loneliness is an indicator, right, or a messenger of there's a need for care, there's need for attention, there's a need for connection, right? So what does that need look like? What is it that you actually need, right? Needing to be heard and understood, needing love or some form of attention, needing connection, needing rest, needing silence, right? Sometimes when we're overstimulated and we have a lot of things going on at one time, that in itself can be isolating, especially when the people around you are not overstimulated, right? So if you're internally overstimulated, you have a whole lot of things happening in your body, but everybody else seems cool, everybody else seems laid back and chill or about what's happening, that overstimulation in itself can be isolating. So needing silence, needing a time to get away, needing a time of solace, right? That all can generate feelings of loneliness. Do you have a need of self-expression? Do you feel stifled or held back? Right? If you feel like you're not able to be yourself or you're not able to express yourself, that can create some levels of loneliness within you. So it's a need of self-expression or creativity, a need for honesty, or a need for spiritual grounding, which we've already talked about. That was number 3. Notice your need when you feel lonely. Number 4, understand the difference between loneliness and solitude. Okay, I'll say that again. Understand the difference between loneliness and solitude. So you can be alone and not be lonely, right? That is a possibility. And oftentimes we associate being alone that to where it automatically equates loneliness, and that doesn't have to be the case, right? So loneliness is associated with pain of being alone. Solitude is associated with peace and stillness and being alone. Okay. So you can have or be alone and still have peace. You can be alone and still have some sense of stillness, some sense of contentment, right? It becomes loneliness when that aloneness feels like pain, or if it feels really heavy, or you feel empty, or there's extreme feelings of sadness, right? It's rooted in shame and lack. Whereas solitude is replenishing, it's nourishing, it's safe, it's comfortable, it's content. It provides a space for creativity, reflection, and rest. Whereas that feeling of loneliness is draining, right? It depletes you, right? Yeah, so loneliness is drains you, solitude restores you. Okay, so keep that in mind. And then also, I've said this before, know your season. Okay, know your season, because there's many times where we're in a time in our life where we're transitioning, we're learning, we're building, we're rebuilding, right? We're trying to build up a new version of ourselves after we have transitioned out of something else. So in those seasons, it may be a little bit more lonely, right? You may have more feelings of loneliness than you would have in other situations or other seasons. Okay. Hi, Monica, welcome in. Hi, Nova, welcome in. So just understanding that there may be some seasons in your life that you may be alone more often, right? And again, solitude and loneliness, they're two different things. Just because you're alone doesn't mean that you have to sit and wallow in loneliness, right? And if you find yourself when you're alone, you're always feeling lonely, ask yourself why. That's just a matter of going back to reflection, like we talked about earlier. Why? Where is that coming from? What is the root of it? What is triggering it, right? Do you feel lonely around certain people, or is it just when you're alone? Okay. So it's a matter of just observing and reflecting and understanding how it shows up for you. And then lastly, be intentional about community and restoration. Okay. Be intentional about community and restoration. Just a second here, y'all, because I ain't got time for the foolishness. Okay. Drop a heart in the chat if you don't have time for the foolishness. And talk back to me if this is helping. Talk back to me if this is helping. Okay, so number 5 was be intentional about community and restoration. Sometimes we feel like it's like just, it's draining, but it's okay. We here. Thank you, Gloria. I'm glad it's helping. I'm glad it's helping. So being intentional about community and restoration. Thank you, Shaphonia. So we think sometimes that we just need to allow connection just to happen as it happens, right? And there's some element to that, right? Where we want to allow things to be organic and authentic when we're making connections, right? Awesome. I'm glad that it's helping, Connie. Awesome. So yes, there's an element that we want our connections to be authentic. We want them to be organic, and we want them to happen naturally. But there is an element of community that you want to be intentional about it, right? And when I say intentional, it's about seeking out things that you enjoy, right? If you know that you love roller skating, maybe it's finding a roller skating club that you can join. If you know that you like to work out, finding a great, gym that you can work out in where you can meet people. If you know that you love to dance and you haven't done it in a long time, but you want to get back to it, finding a dance studio that has just people that are just there just to enjoy the music, right? If you love poetry, finding an open mic or something that you can go to where you can meet people that are in the element that you enjoy, right? So it's about being intentional about community and not thinking that you are, I guess it's the the thought that it's doing too much, right? It's doing too much for me to seek out connection. It's doing too much for me to seek out friends. And it's not necessarily the case. When you don't have a support system, when you don't have community, or when you don't have family, you have to be intentional about it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that we are living in a society where we're all in our own little space, our own little bubble, and we all just want to stay in those bubbles, right? But then we wonder why we feel so isolated or lonely or depressed or frustrated, with life, right? So when it comes to community, it's okay to be intentional and seek that out, right? It's okay for you to really desire a circle or a sisterhood or a brotherhood or just friends in general or just people that are like-minded, right? So it's okay to prioritize that. But even in that, you can prioritize your connection with yourself by practicing self-compassion, by practicing, ways of self-care, reflection, understanding your needs, having a self-care plan, like putting all of those things in place. So that way, when things pop up, like feelings of loneliness or sadness or feelings of depression or burnout or stress, right? You have something to fall back on to where you can sit in solitude versus loneliness, okay? Seeking help when you need it. Reaching out and saying, hey, I need help. Whether it be I'm struggling emotionally, I'm struggling financially, I'm struggling, in all of these different ways. Seek help. It's okay to ask for help. And sometimes it may be, we all may have those connotations that we are the strong person, we're the strong friend, we don't reach out, we don't help. We don't reach out for help, we give the help, right? But you'll be very surprised as to the people that you do help. Now, granted, this may not be for everyone because some people are just leeches, but you may be surprised by the people that you do often help when you reach out for help, that they will be there to support you. Okay. So that's for the strong ones, right? The caregivers, right? So we heal in community, y'all. And that's the fact of the matter. We are made by design to be in community, right? And when we don't have that, especially for a long period of time, it can create some wear and tear on our minds, on our nervous system, on our bodies. Just being able to have some way or form of connection is critical. Now, can you go a period of time without, having connection with others? Probably, but for an extended period of time can create stress and burnout on the body. Even when you think about when people who go to jail and are in isolation for long periods of time, they never recover because of the fact that they're sitting in isolation by themselves for sometimes weeks, sometimes months, sometimes years, right? There's a reason for that. We're created to commune, right? We're created to connect. And the more that we're able to lean into that, the better off we'll be. Okay, so that was the last one. That was number 5. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything here. Seeking help and support where needed. We heal in community and finding commonality. Reconnect to purpose and meaning. Remind yourself of your why and your purpose, right? Finding ways to shift your mindset to gratitude, to service, to creativity. Oftentimes, I'll say gratitude, you can't That's the one emotion you can't feel alongside another emotion, right? So if you're angry, you can also be sad. If you feel pain, you can also feel some sense of frustration or confusion. If you are feeling gratitude, it's very difficult for you to be in gratitude, just deep in gratitude, and then also be overtly angry, right? So, practicing gratitude is a huge one. Finding ways to service, finding ways to help others, whether it be within your community, your family, your friend group, whatever. Finding ways of creativity, boosting creativity in life brings so much sense of purpose and being and meaning, because you're utilizing the best and the most beautiful versions of yourself, right? So when you're creative and when you're creating whatever it is that you create, and creating doesn't have to be just music, it doesn't just have to be art, it doesn't have to be, all of these very specific things when we think of creativity. It can be, creating some form of writing, or creating some form of, if you work it with your hands, some form of technology or anything. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be those creative genres that we think of, right? Yeah, nah, we not doing that, bro. Nah, we not doing that. Yeah, no, I'm absolutely not one of those supporters. So we're not gonna do that. Okay. That was the last one here. We're going to affirmations, but let me make sure I'm not missing anything. Any questions, y'all? I hope this is resonating. I hope this is helping. Make sure I'm not missing. Oh, last thing I would say is to also think about creating spaces, right? Creating spaces of creating and cultivating safe social spaces, right? This isn't a political channel, y'all. Bye. So yes, creating and cultivating safe and social spaces. We heal with each other, not around each other, right? So we heal by cultivating those spaces together. We heal by creating safe spaces for each other, right? So how often do I stream? This is every Monday at 8 p.m. Yes, please come back with a notebook. And I do save these, so make sure to make sure if you need to come back, you can always watch the replay. This one's a little bit longer than usual, but yeah, you can definitely take notes, because I'm going to go through affirmations in a second. Thank you, Rosie. Thank you. I appreciate you for joining. Thank you, random guy. I appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. And then make sure I'm not missing anything here. Okay. So y'all taking me off topic, y'all. So that was the last one. Be intentional about community and restoration. Create and cultivate safe social spaces. We heal with each other, not just around each other. I think sometimes we feel like because we're around people, that's what we need in order to heal when it comes to loneliness. It's more so of us taking the time to cultivate spaces that we need in order to do that healing. So if you don't have a space, right? If you don't have what you need, or you're not able to find a space, that's just something that's an indicator that you can create it yourself, right? There's nothing wrong with creating spaces, for you to be able to work together and to heal with each other, right? So keep that in mind, y'all. I hope this is helpful. Again, this is healing from loneliness. Point number 1 was feeling lonely is a common human experience. Number 2 is notice where, when, and why you are most lonely. Number 3, notice your need when you feel lonely. Number 4, understand the difference between loneliness and solitude. And number 5, be intentional about community and restoration. Now, we're going to go ahead. Oh, you're welcome, Hiru. we're going to go ahead and go through the affirmations. I have 7 affirmations that you can take away. I'm going to go through them quickly. I know that it's been a little bit long tonight, but I want to make sure that I leave you with these. Okay. So affirmation number 1, my alone time isn't empty. It's sacred. It's a sacred space for me to reset. My alone time isn't empty. It's a sacred space for me to reset. My alone time isn't empty. It's a sacred space for me to reset. Okay? Feel free to write these affirmations down, but also feel free to reword them if they don't make sense to you. If you want to change the language, feel free to use them however you wish to. If you want to just write them down in your journal, you want to put them on sticky notes, you want to post them up around your house, if you want to recite them, however you want to do it, definitely use however you want to. Use it however you want to. It's okay, Nova. Thank you so much. You can come back and watch the replay. That was number 1. My alone time isn't empty. It's a sacred space for me to reset. Number 2, I am learning to enjoy my own company and trusting my own rhythm. I am learning to enjoy my own company and trusting my own rhythm. I'll say that one more time. I am learning to enjoy my own company and trusting my own rhythm. Okay? Number 3, silence is not punishment. It's where my soul gets to speak. Silence is not punishment. It's where my soul gets to speak. I'll say that one more time. Silence is not punishment. It's where my soul gets to speak. That was number 3. Number 4, in solitude, I discover the beauty of my own presence and creativity. In solitude, I discover the beauty of my own presence and creativity. I'll say that one last time. In solitude, I discover the beauty of my own presence and creativity. Okay? That was number 4. Number 5, I am safe, supported, and connected, even in my alone moments. I am safe, supported, and connected, even in my alone moments. I'll say that one more time. I am safe, supported, and connected, even in my alone moments. All right? That's number 5. And then we have 2 more, y'all. Number 6, I am worthy of relationships where I feel seen, safe, and valued. I am worthy of relationships where I feel seen, safe, and valued. One last time. I am worthy of relationships where I feel seen, safe, and valued. Okay? And then lastly, I attract connections where I give and receive love freely without fear or performance. That's a little bit longer. I attract connections where I give and receive love freely without fear or performance. One last go at it. I attract connections where I give and receive love freely without fear or performance. Okay? Those were the 7 affirmations, y'all. I hope this is helpful. I hope this has bring some more information in regards to healing from loneliness. I hope it's brought some support in spite of all of the trolls that we had today. So I hope it has brought some form of solace today. Again, if this is your first time, my name is Debbie. I'm a certified mindfulness coach. We talk about all things self-care, all things mindfulness meditation on this particular platform. This live is every Monday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I also post weekly meditations, even though I'm a bit behind from last week. My bad, y'all. So y'all should be getting some stuff this week. If you want to get updates about this live, you can always go to my website at haveninspired.com and sign up for the newsletter. So that way you get updates, not just about the live, but just about things that are going on with Haven Inspired in general. If you are in Illinois and you are looking for support with therapy, if you would like to work with me, as I am an intern, y'all, but if you would like to work with me in therapy, you can go to, actually, I'll put the website in the description that you can sign up for a consultation. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Oh, I do events, y'all. So if you are looking for someone to do speaking about mindfulness or doing any type of workshop or any form of like group sessions, let me know. You can go to you can email me at info@haveninspired.com, or you can go to the website. I do them both virtually or in person. Again, I am in Illinois, unless you're gonna fly me out or flew me out, whichever. But thank you so much for y'all tonight. Thank you, Gloria. Thank you so much for joining. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like the live. Make sure to share. And the recording should be up in a little bit. Thank you. Bye, y'all.